Oh, you're damn right we are here on, what is today? Thursday. Ah, it's
You had to
Orange and
think
Blue
about it.
today.
You had to think about the day.
Yeah, sometimes they run together, but that's okay. OBT is here for you. So think about this Packers game and think about everything that's coming for this Broncos team, Mace. I've said this before. Of the 4 games remaining, this is a maybe not star-studded unless you play fantasy football, but this offense is pretty jam-packed and it's pretty loaded for this Broncos defense to face.
It's the best offense the Broncos will see the rest of the regular season in terms of how it's performing.
Yep.
Certainly the one that caused the most problems, and you say star-studded, obviously not at tight end what it was earlier this season, but the Packers will spread the ball around. Jordan Love will use his array of pass-catching targets. By the way, you see the contrast in uniforms there with the Broncos' past uniform and present uniform, and also how much better it looks when they wear the blue socks compared to the white ones, by the way, even though the current uniform looks better. But yeah, you cannot have the same color socks and pants. You just can't. But one thing that has given the Broncos trouble the last couple of years is teams that have depth and quality of pass catching targets. And
that they have
that spread the ball around, and that's what the Packers have, and that's what they're going to do. So it's a test for a very good defense. So it's one of the things that I look forward to and I anticipate about this game. I mean, if you're going to be the Super Bowl contender that you fancy yourselves, you have to step up in games like this. One thing I'll say for the Broncos, I think they are the type of team that simply plays to the level of its opposition for whatever reason. So I don't look at the near misses against shaky teams and say, oh, this doesn't mean that they're not going to step up in class. Because, hey, we did see them beat a Chiefs team that, yes, they are, they're 6-7 right now, but probably a little bit better than their record would indicate. And of course, they did go to Philadelphia and win back in week 5. So this is a team that can up its game. And you can read more about this at denversports.com. Certainly knows that they're going to have to, whether you call it reaching another gear or continuing to grow and evolve, as Mike McGlinchey put it, they know that they've got to have another level if they're going to succeed down the stretch. So I think they understand what the assignment is here heading into this big game.
And the assignment with Jordan Love is make sure you get to him without blitzing. The blitz numbers for Jordan Love are very similar to that of what we see with Bo Nix in terms of you blitz him and he kills you. So Jordan Love, the type of guy that's not going to be rattled with sending that extra pressure. And it's one thing that, Vance Joseph said it today during his press conference, like sometimes we're going to be aggressive, sometimes we're not going to be. I anticipate they're not going to be aggressive against Jordan Love because the numbers don't back it up.
Yeah. And sorry, I was looking something up. I thought you were going to continue there for a little bit.
Oh, okay. No, well, I just think don't blitz Jordan Love. Yeah. That's what I think. I think he's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. I believe him and Bo Nix are fairly similar, although VJ seemed to disagree with me. But one thing that advanced data and film study shows, if you blitz Jordan Love, he will make you pay. And as you mentioned, can spread it around to all sorts of different targets and receivers. And that's why, okay, Spider-Man meme, get it ready, because Broncos offense spreads it around, has a quarterback that doesn't take sacks and is really good under the blitz. The Packers offense spread it around with a quarterback and can run and is really good under the blitz.
Yeah, but why is the Packers offense more efficient than the Broncos offense?
They can run.
And okay, they can run. They can run. The Broncos don't have their first team running back at their disposal right now, of course. J.K. Dobbins out. The question is, will the Green Bay Packers have their first team running back at their disposal? And a little video that one of the Packers reporters shot in the locker room here in Green Bay earlier today, Josh Jacobs, and was asked kind of directly about not practicing Wednesday, not practicing Thursday, what the outlook is. You played this sound on your radio show earlier today. Cecil reacted to it, and here is the sound as well. This is provided by Kyle Malzahn of WFRV, one of the local network affiliates there in Green Bay, in the Green Bay market. Here is Josh Jacobs.
I'm still taking it day by day right now. I feel a lot better today than I did yesterday. Same thing I've been battling with the last couple of weeks, so we'll see how it goes.
Do you think you re-aggravated it, or is it just kind of looking for rest?
Yes, I definitely didn't get hit on it last game. I did get hit on it in Detroit. But I think it's one of those things where just running or standing too long, you kind of just swelling and things like that. It gets a little stiff on me. But besides that, yeah, that's really it.
What's the biggest hurdle right now?
Just the range of motion. Whenever you get, swelling in your joints and everything like that, it just gets really stiff. Yeah, that's really the only thing. I came out clean pretty much last week, didn't get hit on it or anything like that. But it kind of ballooned up on me a little bit. So, yeah, they just been letting me, work through that.
Oh, my God. We'd never get that, Mace. We would never get that. We don't talk to injured players.
Well, here's the thing. The injured players with the Broncos, they would be kept out of the locker room.
Training room, yes.
The open to media period, because the team is really paranoid. Sean Payton's really paranoid about these things. So we're getting the full information. He's talking about how it ballooned up on him. He
didn't take a hit on it last week, but he did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's talking about range of motion issues. Yes,
and then if he stands around, it'll get kind of swole up. I mean, he said everything, Mace.
He opened up the vault there.
He opened up to me like I was Barbara Walters.
Well, I didn't know. Yeah, not to you, but to the reporters there. Like
It's a movie quote.
Sorry.
And then the beginning of that question, the question was, do you think you'll play?
Yeah.
And his answer is like, take it day by day. That seemed odd to me, Mace. You and I've talked to a lot of guys. They all say they can play.
They're always they're almost always confident. They're like, yeah, I got this. Yeah, I'm going to be.
So how did you feel about that answer? Very thorough answer, lots to go through. But just merely on that question, are you going to play? Let me take it day by day. You 30 plus years covering the NFL. At least I'm
not
close.
quite, not that old.
Well, I'm.
It's a quarter century. Don't make me older than I actually am.
Okay. Well, I'm 20 years in. You're 25 years in. What do you think about are you going to play? Let me take a day by day answer. It's weird.
It is unusual, because usually the player would err on the side of boldness and confidence and say, I'm going to play. And of course, he did practice last week leading up to game day.
Limited full.
Right. And he has been DNP. And of course, I mean, the significance of Josh Jacobs on this game. Josh Jacobs played those years for the Raiders. Josh Jacobs has never been part of a loss to the Denver Broncos. Not to mention the fact that he's been very productive, that he has 400-yard rushing games against the Broncos. He's got another game where he had over 100 yards from scrimmage, and he's been exceptionally prolific at finding the end zone. So in the course of his 8 career games against the Broncos, he has 9 touchdowns.
Woo.
On the ground against the Broncos. I mean, so he has driven the Broncos crazy over the years. So the fact that you are talking about his status being in question and him being so important to the Packers offense this year, I mean, it's huge. I mean, last Sunday against Chicago, 86 yards on the ground and a touchdown. The week before against Detroit, 83 yards on the ground. I mean, he hasn't had a 100-yard game this year, Cease, but he's been pretty consistent most weeks. Most of the games this year, Cease, you're talking about 84 yards, 87 yards, 74 yards, 86 yards, a majority of the games for him on the ground. He's been kind of, he's been that steady, dependable presence that they were looking for. You take him out of the mix, you really hurt the balance of the Packers offense.
Oh, yeah, 1,000%, because when you can run, it sets things up to do, well, kind of what the Commanders did. Get rid of it quickly, take some deep shots where you can, and just keep running. And that's the thing with Jacobs, no 100-yard games.
Yeah.
How many times has he been around 20 carries? Seemingly almost every week.
So far this year, well, he had 20 carries last week. Well, I'll go through his carries so far this season, okay? 19, 23, 16, 22, 18, 13, 13, 17, 21, 7, 17, 20. I mean, that's pretty consistent in terms of
19, if I'm just doing rough math, 19 average.
Yeah, that's pretty consistent. And
7 when I think he got hurt.
Yeah, that's when he got hurt. That's why you see a relatively low total. And oh, by the way, you also tack on 31 receptions as well. So you're talking about 237 touches over 12 games. So he's just a tick under 20 touches a game.
Ooh.
He's right there, right? If you round up, he's 20 touches a game. That's
wow.
Frankly, I mean, that's sort of the number that I was hoping for J.K. Dobbins, frankly, is 20 touches a game.
Yeah.
It's probably the number you want to get R.J. Harvey to right now while J.K. Dobbins is out, is 20 touches a game. And here, he's still effective. He's, we're talking about Josh Jacobs on pace for another 1,000-yard season. That would be the 5th of his career. He's sitting there with 12 touchdowns. By the way, this is the 4th double-digit touchdown season of his career. He's quietly put together a very nice career, has Josh Jacobs, and he's done a fair amount of damage to the Broncos in that career. So take him out of the equation for the Raiders, and this profoundly affects their offense. So this would be this I think, as far as what is the big storyline that's kind of in question going into this game? It would be the status of Josh Jacobs. And then to a lesser degree, the status of Pat Bryant, because Pat Bryant did not practice again today for the Broncos. Of course, he had that hamstring injury last week, and he was limited Thursday and Friday, and he still played through it. And now you start wondering, okay, should he have played through it on Sunday? Because now we're talking about back-to-back DNPs for Pat Bryant working out over on the side field the last couple of days. So you need to be cautious with those hamstring injuries. That's
yeah.
And Pat Bryant, since the start of November, Pat Bryant is second on the Broncos in receiving yardage behind Cortland Sutton. He effectively has emerged as the wide receiver 2 over the last month plus for the Broncos. And he's playing a lot. Last week was actually the first time since late September, early October that Pat Bryant did not play at least half the snaps in the game last week against the Raiders, owing almost certainly to that hamstring issue that he's dealing with. But it tells you how much he's emerged and how he's grown and how he's seen his playing time increase. He's earned that playing time increase.
Oh, yeah.
Because of his work as blocker and because he's improving as a wide receiver. So good things long-term for Pat Bryant, but certainly a concern heading into Sunday that he hasn't practiced. I imagine if he does not practice on Friday, that we'll probably get the firm word, because if it's DNP Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the Broncos usually just go ahead and say out if it's 3 straight DNPs for a player. And so we'll find that out sometime Friday afternoon.
Yeah, if he's limited, it's probably still questionable. Maybe it's even a game time decision. Like, go out there and check it before, just kind of test out that hamstring. and we'll see if Pat Bryant can get out there. I think they self-scouted during their bye, and that's why we're seeing more Pat Bryant and less Troy Franklin. Plus, Pat Bryant's earned it, as you mentioned. It's not a reflection on Franklin dropping passes. It's a reflection on Bryant being able to do everything and also being a fine route runner as a youngster and having that clutch gene that he had in college.
True, but at the same time, I mean, drops are real, are they not? I mean, that's something that you can't that you can't necessarily ignore. Although that, I mean, he's got the 4 drops, but at the same time, the drop percentage is 4.5%. It's not too bad. Cortland Sutton actually has a higher drop percentage so far this year. So,
okay,
take that as you will.
Well, there you go. We're watching to see what the Broncos can do on Sunday.
The high drop percentage among pass catchers. I mean, you know, Tyler Bidet has the high drop percentage, but Evan Ingram is still, you know, among tight ends and wide receivers, the guy who's got the outsized drop percentage as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Well, we'll see what they can do against this Packers offense with multiple assets to get it done. Let's hear a word from our sponsor before we hear from Vance Joseph.
Today's episode of Orange and Blue Today is presented by Ramos Law, the official injury law firm partner of the Denver Broncos. Ramos Law was founded by Dr. Joseph Ramos, an attorney and ER doctor, to provide exceptional care to those injured in accidents. With a unique understanding of both medicine and law, the Ramos Law team is built to fight for you every step of the way. Experience the Ramos Law difference. Contact them today at ramoslaw.com.
All right, Mace, I think we should do the balance one before we get into my question for Vance Joseph, because we're talking about Josh Jacobs a lot, and we're talking about Jordan Love, all these weapons, but it really emphasizes that balance that they have because they can run. Even if it is 20 carries for 86 yards, Matt LaFleur has zero problem when a guy's at 4 yards a carry. Why would he have any problem?
Well, it's not just balance between the run and the pass, but it's like we've talked about. It's balance in terms of spreading it around among their pass catching targets here. I mean, that's, you look around and you don't see any Packers receiving target with more than 45 receptions, unless there's a wild emergence by Romeo Dubs. Nobody's going to have 1,000-yard season among their pass catchers, but it's just, it's okay. Who's open? Like who is wide receiver 1 on a given play? It's whoever's open. It's, with Green Bay, it's very much, it's the village that's raising the child, so to speak. It's the collective cast of characters, and it's Jordan Love bringing it all together. It's a run pass balance, and it's a balanced group of pass catching targets, which means you can't really focus on one guy or 2 guys. So it's a different kind of challenge than when you've got an alpha out there. So here's Vance Joseph talking about the balance that Green Bay brings and the challenge it poses.
I think the balance, it's a really good group. They've got about 5 guys at the receiver position that can really hurt you, and they're all different. They have undersized guys with quickness. They have big guys with long speed. They have guys who are great route runners. The tight end Musgrave, he's a big guy who can stretch the field vertically. He's a good inline blocker. They have good backs who run the football, obviously, and also catch the ball in a pass game. So it's a good combination. It's probably the best overall skill that we've played all year. I wouldn't say it's 1 or 2 guys, but it's a really good group. And they've all made plays. Even the third down numbers is really like 14, 15 catches, 16 catches, so it's really spread out. And he is doing a good job, the quarterback meaning. He's doing a great job of getting the ball to the open guy. It's not one guy he's forcing the ball to, so it's tough to see who you can kind of take away, who you can kind of, roll a coverage to. It's not much of that on tape. It's organic, it's per read, it's per concept, so you have to play honest.
I love that. Even with Christian Watson back, and Watson's their 1, but the way they spread it around, it's not a 1 as, you see with other teams out there who have a clear-cut 1. Watson's their 1, but he got back about a month ago, and they still spread it around.
Kind of a 1 in name only, at this point, although the last couple of games, it's come back for him a little bit. 4 for 80 against the Lions, 4 for 89 against the Bears, 3 touchdowns over the course of those 2 games. But he's still like there's not a huge track record of big time production for him, right? I mean, remember, his career high is still 620 yards in a season. So, the old Sean Payton phrase, confidence comes from demonstrated ability. There still isn't that demonstrated big season, huge long-term performance for Christian Watson. The first time it happened, when it happens the next time is going to be the first time for him. So
don't let it happen this Sunday then.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but it just hasn't happened yet. Now, that being said, we could be seeing the start of it after the last couple of games with the 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. We may be looking at this point of Christian Watson coming back from injury and saying, okay, this is when he started to turn the corner. I mean, it may be happening right now before our eyes. We just
give him a month, shake off the rust.
Right. We tend not to know what the moments are until we look back on them. I mean, you take even like we talked about this on the show yesterday. I mean, I don't think we fully realized it when we were watching that game 2 years ago, but we probably saw the turning point for Jordan Love. He came into Denver in 2023 coming off of a 3-interception game in a loss to the Raiders. Plays well, nearly leads the Packers back to a dramatic late win, if not for that holding penalty that knocked him back on that potential game-winning drive. After that, the rest of the season, he's not the same quarterback, and the Packers aren't the same team, and they go from a team that started 2 and they had one more loss after that, but he played a lot, but he played better in the next game. He starts to emerge as a better quarterback, and the Packers end up being a wild card team. I don't think we recognized it that day, but when you look back at the end of the season, it was clear that's when it started to happen for him. So we don't see these turning points. We don't always know at the time when they're happening. Sometimes we do, but usually it only comes when we have the benefit of 20/20 hindsight.
Yeah, it definitely is something we need to look out for, and the Broncos will be planning. I've thought Romeo Doubs versus Riley Moss is going to be a problem. More on Saturday's game plan show. I'll tell you the specific formations and plays that will work for the Packers against the Broncos. You mentioned it either on or off the air, Mace. We talk a lot. But if you have the patience to run the ball, you can run the ball on the Broncos. And I believe with what we said about Jacobs, like 20 carries for 85 yards. He doesn't care. It doesn't have to be 20 for 100. It could be 20 for 60. They'd still give him 20. So they'll have the patience to run, and that's where some play action opportunities. I think the answer VJ gave me too on the Knicks versus Love thing.
Yeah.
It revealed something that I believe the Packers will do as well.
There's always a little bit of that from VJ's answers sometimes that, there's a little bit of revelation, but usually, but in that case, he's revealing something that he thinks Green Bay is going to do.
Yes.
By the way, there was an interesting piece at ESPN.com earlier this week.
Okay.
And it noted, it's sort of one of those kind of buzz around the league. It was Jeremy Fowler and Dan Graziano.
Okay.
And we can't do a show where we're talking about Vance Joseph without sort of getting into this aspect. And Jeremy Fowler said he suggested if Miami moves on from Mike McDaniel, keep an eye on the Dolphins because, of course, he was a defensive coordinator there, and he was a finalist when McDaniel got hired in 2022. Now, I think the way the Dolphins are closing, it's possible they stand pat with Mike McDaniel because clearly McDaniel has not lost that team. And there's a lot to be said for a coach who in the course of a season like that hasn't lost the locker room and has his team playing hard. And there are definitely rumblings coming out of South Florida that Mike McDaniel may well save his job because of how the team has played the last several weeks. So that's something to keep an eye on. But what both Fowler and Dan Graziano are touching on is, and Graziano writes this, quote, "Joseph seems to be the name we're hearing the most," unquote, in terms of around the league as far as coaching buzz. He goes on, quote, "Joseph seems to be the name we're hearing the most because of Denver's defensive success and his previous head coach experience. People close to the situation point out that Joseph never had a stable quarterback situation in his first head coaching stint and didn't have full autonomy over the hiring of his staff, so it would seem unfair to completely hold his 11-21 record against him," unquote. These are things that all of us in Broncos country know. John Elway. Continues, quote, "I think he gets several interviews and could be a strong candidate in a place such as Las Vegas should that job come open," unquote. And Vegas is interesting because there are Broncos people around that building: John Spytek, Brian Stark, Mark Fuse. So you have people in that building who know VJ very well and certainly would probably be inclined to push for him and advocate for him. What Las Vegas has working against it is ownership. So that's an interesting situation if the Raiders came after VJ, in that they would offer a front office that had people that he knew and that he knows, has familiarity with, and would probably work well with. But is that the ownership situation you want? And you know how often Sean Payton talks about ownership. So that's, that is something to keep an eye on. And there's also another thing that Dan Graziano notes, says keep an eye on Davis Webb, and you and I have talked about this on previous shows. Specifically, he says Davis Webb as somebody to go where VJ goes, as VJ's offensive coordinator. So, and that would not be a surprise, but I'd say amid all this, as we look over the horizon, I'd say it's probably a very good chance that the Broncos go into 2026 without VJ and without Davis Webb on the staff.
Yep.
And here's the thing. I mean, yes, I'm sure that the Broncos' largesse, the financial largesse, I'm sure that would come into play at some point. But Sean Payton is not the type of coach to hold his assistants back from going to a place where they get more responsibility elsewhere. That he wants his coaches to advance, to have more responsibility, to have higher titles. So that's something that he's very, like, Sean Payton was an assistant coach a long time ago, and he always bears that in mind with his coaches. He's never going to stand in their way of moving up the ladder. And he knows it. It reflects well on him, but he also has never forgotten what it was like to be that younger coach who wanted to move up too.
Right.
And the thing that goes along with this, sometimes you end up losing a coach before you expect. Like they didn't expect to lose Declan Doyle to the Bears last offseason, and they had to adjust. But some in their play when they bring aboard young coaches, and they've always got like they have always got their minds, their eyes on coaches around football, and it's like people who know people. You know their coaches on their staff. They have their own networks, etc. And recommendations. Oh, I work with this guy at so and so place. I mean, oh, I work with this guy at LSU. He could be a good fit. So you've always kind of got your eyes all around college football, low levels of NFL staffs, that kind of thing. So you always know that you might have to, keep the churn going. So. But sometimes in a case like Declan Doyle, you had to make a change, perhaps a year before you expected to make a change there. I think they thought they'd have him a little bit longer, but so it goes. I think in the case of VJ and Davis Webb, if those two do move on, I think the Broncos would have a plan for both. I think there's an expectation that this cycle may see both of them go on to greater responsibilities elsewhere. VJ to be a head coach, Davis to be calling plays for somebody in 2026.
Yeah, he'll be an OC, and then he'll be a head coach pretty soon. Mario asked who would be VJ's replacement. Mace, they've got the perfect replacement.
I mean, they'll have to go through and do interviews and all that for league protocol. The favorite for the job would almost certainly be Jim Leonard, who was promoted to assistant head coach last offseason. He works with the safeties and the secondary. He, of course, was the very successful defensive coordinator at the University of Wisconsin from 2017 through 2022, and then was the interim head coach in the back half of that season. A lot of people there thought he should have been the head coach, but they went with Luke Fickell. That's not working out very well. There are a lot of people in Wisconsin who wish that he'd come back to be their head coach. Yeah, that's, it came up a lot during this past season of people wanting him back. But the thing with Jim Leonard that was interesting is Sean Payton wanted him on the staff in 2023, on his first staff. But after he was not retained by Luke Fickell on the Wisconsin staff, he was still getting paid, and Jim elected to take some time off and have hip replacement surgery, an old football injury, and then spent the following fall as a consultant, kind of part-time coach at the University of Illinois on the staff of former Wisconsin head coach Brett Bielema, now coaching down there. And that's where Jim Leonard got to know a young wide receiver named Pat Bryant. That season passed, an opening came on the Broncos staff. Jim joined in 2024. And then there were some people potentially coming after Jim after the season. They gave him the title bump and the pay bump to assistant head coach for 2025. But it also tells you about the voice that he has within the Broncos, that he got, what he said about Pat Bryant kind of helped get him on radars to the point where they end up picking him. And that's something that tells you a lot when you have coaches who worked with players at the college level and they end up making the recommendations, and then the Broncos end up picking those guys. I mean, that tells you a lot about the influence that specific coaches have on the staff. Like another good example would be Jamar Cain, their defensive line coach, who a couple of years earlier was at LSU, where he worked with a young defensive lineman named Savion Jones.
And then
that's the sort of connection that
It's one of the
helps
reasons
make
why
that
they were
happen.
high on Jaden Daniels as well. That and Bo
Yeah.
Lowry, who was a trainer
Yeah.
at LSU. They loved Jaden. They just knew they were never going to get him.
Yeah. I mean, Jamar, worked with Savion day in, day out at LSU. So, I mean, he had, all sorts of knowledge about him and recommended him. And I mean, the interesting thing with Jim Leonard is like he was working with the defensive guys on the Illinois staff. So he was like coaching, in practice, he was like seeing Pat Bryant go against his guys, and he was like, and was pretty thoroughly impressed by him. And so far, that pick, and we talked about him earlier, he's obviously dealing with a hamstring injury this week. But look at how he's become wide receiver 2 effectively since the start of November and how much he's grown. So, and he was showing that progress all the way back in August, which is why they felt comfortable trading Devon Vele for a pick that's looking like it's going to be a very high 4th round pick. So
it's a nice trade. By the way, Kane was also at Arizona State when Jaden was there.
yeah,
I thought I remembered that, and I had to double check, and
Yeah.
he was there when Jaden was there with the Sun Devils. So,
yep.
yeah, it's a relationship business, man.
I'm glad you said that. That is what this is. It is a relationship business. It is there's a lot of who you know in football, but it's who you know and making an impression on that who you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always something to keep an eye on at draft time. Like as we get into the 2026 draft and players we talk about, I'm sure there'll be at least a player or two selected by the Broncos where there's a connection, whether it's a coach, or there's a player. And it's why we sometimes say, remember, Kenyon Sadiq was at Oregon with Bo Nix. And we know, Sean Payton has said this, that he'll go to players and ask about prospects when they were together. So,
Just part of the data.
yeah, it's another data point. It can't hurt to ask. It's just learn everything you can from every source you can find.
It's a cross-reference.
A prospect. Yep.
Hey, this is what I heard. What did you hear? Or actually
Yes.
just say, hey, tell me about him. And if it matches what you heard,
Yep.
it's probably right.
Yeah. And if like you hear some good things about Sadiq and then you go to Bo and Bo kind of says something similar, like, oh, okay. All right. This guy
Duly
checks
noted.
out here. All right. Let's spend some more time with him. Let's learn a little bit more about him. And then maybe you decide to trade up for him and keep him from being a Kansas City Chief.
And they might have to trade a lot to move up for him. Super quick before we're out here today. Barry does ask in the chat room, do we get any comp picks if you lose Webb and VJ? VJ, yes.
Yes, not
Webb,
Webb.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Those the comp picks, I believe, would be 2 3s, right? I believe.
I believe so. Yeah, that might be the rule. Also, the chat room is suggesting Jarrett Stidham as a replacement for Davis Webb. Stiddy's probably still going to want to play. Hell, Davis Webb could still be playing.
Yeah, two third-round picks in consecutive years. So you get one each back-to-back years. So that would be helpful
That'd be nice.
as well. Yeah.
That'd be nice. All right. It'd be nice if we continue to grow our YouTube channel. And to do that, we need your help. The response to Orange and Blue today is fantastic. Just look at my awesome shirt, Mace. I got to shout out a listener and a fan.
Holy smokes.
Brought this into the studio today.
So you got the throwback uniform, you got the all orange, you got the white jersey, you got the blue jersey. That's nice.
Yeah, you even got the
Pretty
snow-capped helmets there. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, so basically you kind of represent all the looks of the Broncos pretty much there. It's impressive.
Right. You do. Okay. I
That's
like
thorough.
it. I like it even more. But that comes from you all, you out there that love the show, that listen and watch to Orange and Blue today. We certainly appreciate you very, very much for doing just that. So to continue the appreciation love fest, how can folks further love us up on YouTube?
Like,
Comment,
share,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell.
so that you
Never
miss a Vid. That's right. He is Andrew Mason. You follow him on all the socials at Mace Denver. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying OBT's a BFD. Want to thank you very much for watching. As always, stay tuned and would you please stay frosty.